Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for our monthly webinar here at TXAPA. I'm broadcasting from College Station this week. I was down here for the Texas County Commissioners Conference. Very good conference. A lot of new county commissioners. Talked to them about asphalt. So very productive week. Finishing up today here by doing some visits to our members and maybe the city of College Station and Bryan. So just having a great week. Head home, looking forward to the weekend, like all of you, I imagine. Just want to remind you, next month's webinar will be on March 21st, and we're going to talk about specifications. Robert Lee is penciled in to join me for that broadcast. Be talking to him tomorrow and next week about our content and getting ready for that. So put that on your calendar, March 21st. It's a Thursday at 10 a.m. We'll be talking about some of the new specifications, super pave and various things like that. So looking forward to it. Also want to remind you about our MAPS seminar that'll be next week. That's Managing Asphalt Pavements with an S, got a catchy ring to it, MAPS. And that'll be in Grapevine, Texas, real close to the Bass Pro Shop. And it's going to be on Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Now, you need to go to our website. There is a minimal cost for this. We do provide lunch each day. There'll be breakout sessions. We have some great speakers coming from all over the place to talk to you about asphalt and things that will help you manage asphalt pavements. So go to our website, TXAPA. If you'll just type in TXAPA, click on the Texas Asphalt Pavement Association, and you can go down there and find maps, and you can find the place to register and get that taken care of. If you're having trouble with it, just call into our number, 512-312-2099, and they can help you get all registered for that. We have quite a few people registered. It's going to be a great 2-day seminar. You can listen to a lot of us that hopefully have good things to tell you about asphalt that will help you in your business world about asphalt pavements. Also, all our webinars are recorded. You can also go to our TXAPA website, and you can find the link of education, go over there to webinars, and you can see that we have recorded those over the last year and a half, and you can click on one and listen to it any time you want to help you get through some of the situations you can find and pick which ones you'd like to listen to. This webinar today is going to be called Best Practices for Working with Reclaimed Asphalt Pavement. Sometimes we call that Recycled Asphalt Pavements, RAP, things like that. I want to thank Dr. Dave Newcomb at the Texas Transportation Institute here at Texas A&M. I had him penciled in to join me today, and we kind of got crossed up on some dates, and he had to go to Portland, Oregon to do a big presentation yesterday and today. So he told me to tell everybody, apologize that he couldn't be here, but he will have stuff in the future. Dave is just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to asphalt and all the testing and things that they do out there at the Transportation Institute. They're just about ready to move into the new facilities probably next week. So we look forward to having some of our webinars from the Transportation Institute at College Station. So we're going to go ahead and get started on our webinar this morning. If you'll notice here at the top, it's the Texas A&M Transportation Institute. Dave Newcomb allowed me to use this presentation that he had presented at various locations, and I kind of modified it for this webinar. Some good information. I'll just tell you up front, so we're at about 4, 5, 6 years behind on information on this one, but it's a great webinar about pavement. Some of the statistics probably have grown over the years. That really doesn't affect the content. So let's go ahead and get started. So, reclaimed asphalt pavement. Let's talk about this for a minute. What can we do with it? So if we're using RAP and we really want to promote the use of RAP, I think it's another great part of our asphalt industry. RAP is very valuable to me when it comes to asphalt. It just makes it better. And as we talk, it has to be done, in percentages and things like this. So if we're using RAP, we can use a larger stone mixes, and that can lower our asphalt content, which can help us save a little bit of money. In the thinner overlays, the higher asphalt content, but less of the RAP. Now we're starting to do some of the TOM mixes, which is thin overlay mixes, in various places to help us extend the life of the roadways that we have out there. So we have to take into consideration when we do that, we might have to lower that RAP content. Now, we have been using roofing shingles. This kind of goes up and down, and yes, if you could get the trimmed ends or the cut ends that come off the manufacturing process, those are, fresh ends, and they grind those up, and they really work better than the post shingles that come off the houses. But anyway, just taking that into consideration, it was in the presentation. I'm going to leave it. Use the right asphalt for the right application. And I got tickled here. They put in here, use more RAP. I really agree with that. But again, it has to be done correctly. So what's the difference? Well, you might have had a bad experience or no experience. So under bad experience, the variability due to poor materials management, you might have RAP coming from a parking lot. You might have RAP coming from a roadway. And if we mingle those together, the two properties, can kind of drive us crazy when we're doing a mix design. So we may want to build different piles with those and deem one for a particular project to help us with that, the variability issues. The issue with fines, now we really like the fines in there because I think it builds a paste type that really helps us, glue that material together, if you will, if I can use those words. And not fractionation of the RAP. If we don't do that, we could have some bad experience. I know when I started 35 plus years ago, we just put the RAP over the scalping screen. It flowed into the drum, and we mixed it. And sometimes it would drive me crazy doing a gradation. I'm sure a lot of y'all have experienced this. But now with the fractionation, we can build these different piles of different sizes and add that in percentages and kind of the outcome exactly what we want when we do a gradation. So the fractionation has really helped. Under no experience, you don't know how to design a mix with RAP. You don't know how to handle the asphalt content because RAP, recycled asphalt pavement, has asphalt liquid, around those aggregates that has been in the ground for a while. And it will, flux off as it's heated. And it could increase that content and not be exactly what we wanted. Or you don't know how to deal with the aggregate properties. So all of this we're going to kind of talk about as we go through the webinar this morning. I like this part, how to become a rapper. Well, view RAP as a valuable resource. A lot of times it's just the cost of getting it milled off the road and the haul back to the plant, and maybe if you fractionize it, do some fractionation. There's a minimal cost in doing that. You want to try to minimize the handling of this as much as you can, but with the coating of asphalt, it's not going to degrade the aggregate any. So we can move it around just to save us money, try to minimize that handling. Treat RAP as you would other ingredients. It is an aggregate. It's a coated aggregate. And we really like that because it adds to the strength of our asphalt pavement. Offer yourself a maximum flexibility in using RAP. Learn what's in RAP. Again, the stockpiling. If you've got a parking lot off of a retail shopping center added to a high quality aggregate and high quality binder in that mixed together, it could drive you a little crazy when you're testing it, trying to get that acceptable range that you'd like to have. Monitor the process of the materials continuously. Keep it in consistency. So we can do this. We can deem piles for different jobs if we've got the room for it. And it does really help. I really like RAP. You can see this materials evaluation flow chart. Again, we'll start out with maybe some virgin aggregate. We're going to do aggregate testing. Then if you come down to the RAP, We're going to try to do a binder extraction recovery to see how much liquid there is in that recycled asphalt pavement. We might do some aggregate testing and binder testing. We might have virgin asphalt there at the bottom. And then we're going to do some binder testing also on that to see if our properties. And then as we go across, we're going to combine that gradation in properties and see what we got. Then we're going to combine it with the liquid. Then we're going to choose the highest percentage of RAP for the aggregate and the binder criteria that we have. And then we're going to perform a mixed design. So you can see kind of how this flows along. And how it works. I see down there at the bottom, the asphalt, the T got left off. I'll repair that after the webinar. So if you want to go back and review it, we'll have it corrected. Anyway, it's just kind of a flow chart to show you kind of the steps you got to take to see where we're at with all these materials. Of course, can we use 100% of the material? We hope we can. Here's one of the big millers. I believe this is over in Europe or Africa. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But it's a big miller, and they add liquid asphalt back in and kind of put it back on the road and till it in, and then roll it in and put new material with it. So it's kind of a process. The problem with RAP is it's old material. Yeah, that's true, but there's still high quality aggregate in that RAP material that's been tested over and over. It's been on the quality monitoring system, if you will, for TXAPA or other things. So we know the aggregate's in good shape. The asphalt is still coating the aggregate. That's the part we like. We're actually using aggregate that's coated with liquid oil. So it just adds to the quality. The effect of RAP binder on virgin binder grades. So the guidelines here is up to 15% will not change the PG grade. So 20 to 25% it says use 1, temperature grade lower. And above 25%, test the RAP binder to see what you actually have. The alternate is conduct regional studies on RAP binder properties. You know, kind of see what's in the area, what we're using, what do you have in your yard for RAP. And, you know, that varies as we go around. In the big metropolitan areas, you're probably going to have more RAP than you do in the more smaller areas around the state. Maybe where we don't do a lot of milling over and over. So you might just have to do a virgin mix design. But again, we're talking about RAP. Here's a RAP study they did. This is a penetration on the left going up. So our new mix, you know, has a good shield, if you will, for the penetration where the pin test will not go through the asphalt. And then as the life of the pavement, you can see in months goes along. These different places, and you can see a lot of these are in counties. The X's mark where the cracking was first observed. So you can kind of see this, the life of the pavement. Yes, it does oxidize on the surface, and we can lose some of it based on the cracking if we observe, but hopefully this RAP will help us cut some of this out. The viscosity, you can see how this will go up as the asphalt gets older, aged in months. So it's a test that they run on that, on the mixture to see how it's handling those properties. Of course, determining the blend of the binder, you can see here the blue bar going across at an angle. And as we add the percentages of RAP in there, this bar goes up. So we can see the first arrow shows us maybe about 16, 17, 18% percentages of RAP. And you can see we can cross the dotted line at the 64, if you will, 64 minus 22 or something like that, oil, the binder that we bought. As we go up, you can see about 39%. It takes us up to like what the properties of a 70 would be. Now, these numbers may vary just a little bit, but it just gives you an idea that RAP does help stiffen the mixture, and it can help you get a grade bump, if you will, on your asphaltic oil. Of course, there's some mixed design guidelines. Here is a National Cooperative Highway Research Program, a report 452. If you'd like to look that up, it should still be available. Recommended use of reclaimed asphalt pavement in the superpaved mixed design method. So this is a technician's manual. So these are things that can help you. Now, still have to follow the criteria, whether you're doing it for city, county, or state, or an individual. All of them have maybe different guidelines, but just follow those. This information could be a help to you. So what's different about the RAP mix design? So we want to heat the RAP more gradually and use a lower temperature than the aggregates. So, you know, as the aggregates enter the drum, they start receiving the heat from the burner, and they start, you know, cascading down through the drum. The heat dries the material out and heats it up so that the asphalt will coat the aggregate. So we usually put the RAP in the lower end of this towards the final mixing stage. That way it will not just, you know, if I can say it like this, melt all the asphalt off the rock, so to speak. We just want to make a good blend, heat it up, make it where it'll blend together really well when we get out on the road and get a good density. Of course, we have to estimate the RAP aggregate specific gravity. Sometimes this is a little difficult because it is coated. We have to account for the RAP binder in the batching. You know, if we want a 5% and we have so much in the RAP, then we only have to mix in a certain amount of the virgin asphalt to get us a good blend. Reduce the new binder content, just what we were talking about there. And if needed, use a lower virgin binder grade. So we might bump it from a 70 down to a 64. Now, the Hamburg wheel testing machine just really helps us on this, because we can do mixed designs, put them in the Hamburg wheel testing machine, and give us an indication of what these properties are going to do in the compacted stage, if we will, before we get out on the roadway. This is the mixed design flow chart. And if we start at the top left, it says combined stockpile aggregates. We're going to heat the aggregates. We're going to heat and add RAP, add the virgin binder. We're going to compact it, determine the AC content for 96% density, prepare samples at optimum virgin binder content. We might do a volumetric analysis. We're going to perform performance testing, which would be the Hamburg wheel testing machine and some other things. And then we're going to work our way into that final design, that approved design that we hope is really going to work in the field. We've done all our homework. We should have just great quality in the field with no problems. So research has shown that the aggregate specific gravities are affected by the high temperatures in the ignition tester. So this could affect the VMA calculated for the trial mixes. So just keep that in mind. Effective specific gravity calculated from the asphalt content, and the theoretical maximum specific gravity, or what we call the RICE test. Now, if you do that, when we get those numbers, make sure you do the dry back during this RICE test. It's highly recommended to see if you have any absorption. We teach this part of the test procedure when running the RICE gravity test at the center. So just run that dry back and see if you have any absorption. The GS of E is always greater than the GS of B. The volume excludes asphalt permeable voids, so just keep that in mind. A typical GSE and a GSB correction factor can be applied. Of course, I wish we could really, that's supposed to be G's of SE and G's of SB if you really talk lab work, so sometimes we do that and sometimes we don't. Of course, that procedure for the RAP, be sure you can see here the sample in the picture. They're drying it back after the RICE gravity's run. Remember, you're submerging that asphalt in the water. You're vacuuming that sample for 15 plus or 2 minutes. You're going to decant that water off through the number 200 sieve, put that material back in. And again, dry in front of a fan, do the proper procedure. And you may have to do this a couple of times. You're not real familiar with it, or you don't do it on an everyday basis. And just make sure you're getting a good answer to help you in your process. Plant verification flow chart. Of course, set the plant controls to mix design proportions. Produce approximately 200 tons of hot mix asphalt if you can do that at the plant. Take a sample at about 100 tons. That way you run some material through the plant. Everything should be heated up and working properly. Compact 2 samples at mixed design level. test the volumetrics, compare the mix design and specs, adjust mix proportions if you need to, and then construct a text section. See if you're going to get that density you want, things like that. These are all things that we can do just to assure the quality of the asphalt in the roadway is going to be what we want. After all this design work and this test that we ran, we really want to make sure we got good quality asphalt out there on the roadway. Here's another guideline. Again, the National Cooperative Highway Research Program, Report 455, recommended performance-related specifications for hot mix asphalt construction, results of the West Track project. It's, again, just a publication that Dave put in this presentation. I can look this up on the internet and read a little bit about it if you so wish. Quality control testing. Of course, we're going to test the aggregates. Gradation is very important. We know that. Of course, the quality depends on the mix type and the source of the aggregates. Under RAP, the gradation and binder content are very important. Of course, the binder and aggregate properties depends on the percent of RAP put in there and the mix type again. And then the binder, can be certified a compliance binder or quality assurance binder. So just keep those in mind under the quality control testing. Quality control testing again on the mix itself. Again, gradation, very important. The binder content. And we're probably going to put that in one of our burn-off ovens. Then we can use that. The loss of material would be our asphalt content, and there's a few things you got to do there. And then we can take that aggregate after it cools down and run our gradation on it to see if we're actually getting the components in the different sizes that we wish to have there. Volumetric properties, if we do this, the voids is very important, the VMA, the VFA, the bulk specific gravity, all of these, the RICE test, all very important. Of course, then our in-place air voids. Some of you, of course, you know that density is just opposite of the void, so to speak. You have 96% density, then you just subtract that from 100, so you have 4% voids. So we can talk it either way. I can drive up to a project, what's your air voids on your test sections? And they may say 5%. Well, I know they got a 95% density, so we can talk it either direction. High RAP mix design. So this was a mix design done by NCHRP 946, the mix design and evaluation procedure for high reclaimed asphalt pavement content and hot mix asphalt. So the objective was to develop a mix design method and specification for hot mix asphalt containing up to 50% RAP. So this is something that is probably an ongoing thing. This is the NCAT test section over at Auburn University, where they lay different test sections and they drive vehicles over and over all the time. And they monitor this stuff and give these research papers back to the owners of the asphalt, if you will. Of course, processing RAP, again, we're fractionating RAP nowadays, which really takes a lot of the guessing game out of it. You can see here a fractionation plant set up, a huge pile of recycled or reclaimed asphalt pavement. And again, it could be from various places. It is coated aggregate. So you can see the different piles that it's placing on each three sides of the plant here. And therefore, we can develop stockpiles of this, and then our loader person can load this into the plant, different percentages, and just make it a much easier design, a much easier way of testing the asphalt properties at the final stage before it goes to the roadway. Make sure our gradation is just dead on. Of course, the importance of milling. Of course, this is where we, like it says here, the last bullet point, provides us with the reclaimed asphalt pavement. But it improves the bonding surface. A lot of times we'll mill these roadways off, get us down to maybe a non-oxidized surface. Maybe we just take off an inch, inch and a half, 2 inches. We still have a decent roadway. Maybe we've lost our skid values on our surface mix. So we want to put down some more material where we can get our skid values back. A lot of times, of course, we know it creates some dust, but usually they'll broom and vacuum these roadways or sweep them really well so that it's a lot cleaner. As you remove the surface, you've taken the oil and other materials that got deposited on our roadway surface, which gives us better bonding, improves smoothness. These new milling machines nowadays can just do a variety of things for you, increase smoothness, and we know that a smooth road lasts longer. Improves performance. Again, we want these materials to perform for a long time, to give what the consumer is paying for, a good product that they can drive on, that feel like it's safe, that they can carry their people that's with them all the time over a good, smooth roadway. Of course, the best practices learned is separate the blended stockpiles. We know that. Fractionation of the RAP. Sample the RAP sources regularly to see if you're still getting that same type of material, if you will. The plant processing could be something you need to look into. How are we adding these materials to the plant in the proper proportions? You might have to educate your loader guy on what we're doing. Just make everybody in the whole loop understand so that we don't blame it on the RAP process when it could be a handling issue. Warm mix technologies may facilitate a higher RAP content. Avoid production of materials at various temperatures. Warm mix versus hot mix, if you will. So just keep that in mind also. Using RAP and constructability. So the question we're posing is, how much RAP can we include in the mix and meet specification and constructability requirements? Well, the answer for this is a bigger impact can be made in the processing and production area. So if we do all our homework, if you will, handle the materials properly, build the correct stockpiles, fractionate it, then we possibly can use more RAP in the mix to meet specifications. And we know it does help us. Of course, consistent RAP stockpiles really, really help. Of course, getting the RAP ready. You can see here in the picture on the right, we've got a large stockpile, very typical of what RAP looks like. You can see some larger chunks, smaller pieces. You can see some even uncoated aggregate, maybe some broken pieces. So unprocessed RAP is not subjected to quality control monitoring, maybe just visual inspection. Now, if we're going to use it for other purposes, other entities like TXDOT or a city, they may have test reports that they wish to have on that. Of course, the processing of RAP, fractionation, if we will, we got to have a uniform size, promotes final blend consistency, and just helps us in the long run. Maintaining RAP quality. You can see the stockpile here in the picture. We don't want to build those piles too high because those rocks can roll down off that as you're building a conical pile. But if all the material is about the same size, then we're doing a very good process here. So you can see we've got to worry about that conical pile with the rocks falling off. We want to keep our stockpiles from coming in contact with other sources. Just keep them well maintained and then sample frequently to see if you're still getting that consistency of what you want. Of course, comprehensive quality control testing. We want to check for absorption, moisture content, asphalt content, gradation. A lot of times those RAP piles can get a lot of rain on them, and it does take time to dry them out. So you just might have to check on that on a daily basis if you're running RAP each day. You can see here we have a RAP pile, and we put it through a RAP bin, and we've fractionated or brought this material down into, it says product 1, product 2, product 3. Just kind of a picture to kind of show you what we can do with the RAP, just to help us when we blend it at the plant. Efficient operations. We want to make sure our loader operator is educated on what we're doing with this RAP and how to keep it stockpiled. We want to make sure the RAP feed system, the scalping screens, if you will, are all functioning properly. You can see some pictures here how these units will take the larger parts off of this that we don't want to get into the mixture. You know, if we're doing a 2-inch overlay, we don't want any 3-inch rocks coming in there. We won't be able to put them down into the mixture. So these are various ways that we're doing efficient plant operations. At the plant, superheating of the aggregate, like we talked earlier about how this aggregate flows through the plant. The baghouse fines are sucked out of there, if you will, and then introduced back in. The airflow, if we're going to do warm mix, we got to have the warm mix additives. All of this, in terms, has to get us a quality product. Lay down and compaction. No special requirements or techniques. You may require a little more attention than conventional mixes because we do have the RAP in there. The mix workability might be a little bit stiffer. Your densities could be increased. You might have to do more roller passes or less roller passes. You might have to use a heavier roller. You might have to run the mix just a little bit higher in temperature at the plant. All of this has to be taken care of by the quality control people. Cooler temperatures, you might reduce the compaction times. Warm mix technologies can extend compaction times. These are all, you can look up these products that you can use for warm mix additives. These can all assist in the compaction process by giving you a little more compaction time. You can't just sit over there and wait and take a nap. You have to get onto it and understand what's going on. But these things are all approved. You can look them up on the monitored catalog of approved sources under the internet. Maybe find some products you want to use. Of course, here's a scalping screen, some areas they've got this ready to create some wrap piles. Maybe they put the wrap piles under a building like this one here to keep the material from getting wet. So they're just things that you might could do to help this process. So who owns the wrap and what are they doing with it? Well, a long time ago, if it was a TXAPA job, it had to be deemed back into the mixture, or it could be given to the counties and maybe the cities to help them with some of their mailbox turnouts and things like this. Those things have changed now. It usually is the possession of the contractor, and then they can use it as they will back into the mixtures. Here's just a chart that Dave had in here talking about some states that allowed different percentages of RAP in their material. And you can see these dates out to the right. But under the permitted intermediate layer, which the intermediate layer is directly under the surface mix. So Florida here had, 30% greater than or equal to that, 0 in the surface. They had kind of capped it at a 45% usage maybe for the base material. Kansas, you can see, was a little bit lower. Delaware, a little bit lower than that. Some of these were done in the summer, spring, fall. So this was all under the warm mix asphalt process. So they were having very good success with these projects. So a little bit of summary. Still about 5 to 10% RAP that can be used under existing specs. We can use a higher percentage. We're learning that. Some of the specs reflect that now. We need to work with the agencies to increase allowable RAP, especially where it's not allowed. We would like to use RAP all over. So just keep that in mind. I really think it adds to it if it's done correctly. The two biggest obstacles in mixed design are the binder characteristics. You have to understand what they are, run the test, get those percentages, and then that minus 200 material, if you will, or the 200 material in minus. That's our dust. That creates that paste, if you will. And it just helps the binding process. The mixed design produced not too different when we do this. Again, we're using coated aggregate. It's just a win-win. We need to work towards all mixes having RAP. The consistency is the key to increasing RAP content. Testing is needed. We just can't sit back and say, well, I'm going to increase it another 5%. We've got to know what we're doing. We still need a suit of performance test, especially for the cracking, which a lot of entities are working on this right now if they haven't already got them established, and we'll talk about those in the future. Our best hope is to stabilize cost and don't compromise quality. Please don't do that. Again, this is a material resource that we can use. It won't go into our landfills. And again, we know all asphalt pavement is recycled more than any other product. Here's some RAP guidelines, number 123 and 124, put out by the National Asphalt Pavement Association. You can look these up on at their website. You can probably look these up on the internet. You can call NAPA and see if you can get some of these products. They may even have an up-to-date version of these. Very helpful. Of course, we'll talk just a little bit about shingles. Of course, we know there's a lot of them. It's all waste. We'd really like to try not to put those in the landfill operations. Hot mix asphalt is the most common process to which waste shingles can be added and the best use for the shingles. We do have a little bit of trouble with them at the surface, and all of y'all know these issues, and we can probably get to a point where we can alleviate that. Recycled asphalt shingles in the U.S., this was 2008, so it's a little dated, but allow manufactured RAS only. So that would be the cut ends and stuff. We are getting into the post or the tear off shingles where we can put those back in also. The national guidance for using RAS and hot mix asphalt. You can see some AASHTO publications that could be helpful to you. Of course, another guidance for using shingles, best practices for recycling asphalt shingles. There's a website there. And then the use of waste asphalt shingles and hot mix asphalt, state of the practice. So there's another couple of items. If you'd like to take your camera and take a picture of those right quick, I'll leave it up there for a few seconds. Again, you can go back and view this webinar at another time as we record these and get those off there. There could be some update versions of this already from NAPA in various places, but a lot of research out there. Here's Construction Materials Recycling Association, CMRA. This publication was dated 2009. You can see some of the sponsors and co-sponsors on this thing. Of course, this is not what we're looking for. This is not recycled asphalt shingles in our asphalt pavements. And most of y'all driven around the state probably seen where they drop shingles on the roadway. They really stick and stay for a long time. But that's not what we want to do with them. Of course, we want to talk about the short-term aging of warm mix asphalt binders during this production using RAP. So there's ongoing studies done at TTI and various other places to increase the RAP usage in warm mix asphalt, shingle usage in warm mix asphalt, rubber, where they take tires and melt those down. Very good process. Of course, and there's more to come, right? Everybody's doing research. So I think it really helps us that these people do this and give us this data back into publications, help us in our future to become very green on this earth, that we can save some of these products that are in our earth for the future. Of course, the Green Highway Partnership, it just talks about all kinds of things about recycling and cutting costs, stuff like this. States that have tried warm mix asphalt, of course, this has increased since 2009. The advantages of recycling are stabilized cost, provides more consistent materials, environmentally responsible, and the high quality of those materials. Again, they're coated with asphalt. We might as well use them. So this concludes our webinar for this Thursday. We appreciate everybody being on board. We had quite a few people call in today. I'm sure there's a lot of you listening, multiple people on one phone call. I just want to tell you I appreciate it. Again, from the Texas Asphalt Pavement Association, we're always here to help. If you need to talk to us about any of these products or you got some questions, just give us a call there at the office. Give them your name and number, and they'll contact me, and I can call and talk to you about it or come see you. We're always willing to help. Again, remember, I do seminars. If you'd like for me to come to your place, I've got various seminars on asphalt, machinery, techniques, compaction, types that we can do for you. These don't cost anything. Just give us a call, set up a time. We'll give you some dates, and we can come talk to your people about asphalt. Again, I want to remind you of the MAPS conference next Wednesday and Thursday in Grapevine, Texas. That's between Dallas-Fort Worth, right above DFW Airport on the north side, if you will, fairly close to the Bass Pro Shop. You can look it up on our website. You can register for that. Again, it's a minimal charge. We will provide lunch. It'll be a great 2 days of managing asphalt pavements. Emily has done a fantastic job putting this together for us. We've got a lot of great speakers. A lot of hard work's gone into this to help you understand asphalt a little bit better in your daily walk with asphalt. So again, I'm Larry Welch with the Texas Asphalt Pavement Association, signing off on this particular Thursday. Thank you much. Bye-bye.